Diary of a Dog Owner, Mysterious Appearances in the Village, Kids' Adventure Stories, written by Jeff Child, narrated by John H. Feskins. Introduction. Cedric is a guy in a tiny village. He lives by himself and has a pet dog named Carfo. Together they go for walks, greet the villagers, and play with sticks. But when some of the villagers are being killed, suspicion arises, and he finds himself threatened by his name on a symbolic wall. Will he die too, just like the rest of those victims? Or can he prevent his own death by taking on the evil enemies who are responsible for these heinous crimes? Chapter 1. Killings. My name is Cedric. I come from a peaceful village. I am 19 and my parents live away from here. Nothing ever happens here. Everyone goes through the routines of the day. They do their job, they play with their families, and they go to bed with their marriage partners. Nothing out of the ordinary. Or so it seems. One day I woke up. The roosters in this village made sure of that. I also enjoyed the sound of singing birds each day, which appear early each day next to my window. Oh, and I am not the kind of person who has a hard time getting out of bed, because if I try to sleep in, another animal makes sure I don't stay in my nest for too long. Carfo is my dog. He is a German Shepherd, and he is big. I love him to pieces. He is the best friend I've ever had. Well, not that I don't have any friends whatsoever, but Carfo is there for me. He is my buddy. We go to the park and play fetch. I pet him when I don't know what to do with my hands, and I talk to him when I am lonely. But recently we were outside just walking around when Carfo sniffed and started barking suddenly. "Bark, bark!" "What's going on, Carfo?" "Bark, bark, bark!" he said again. Then he ran into a different direction. I ran after him, wondering what all the fuss was about. Then I saw it. Oh my goodness! It was a corpse! A tall man was lying behind a dumpster, bathing in his own blood, and looking as if he was cut up or bitten somehow. I came a little closer and tried to see who it was. I covered my mouth in amazement. It was Joe. How could anyone kill Joe? First of all, he was the nicest guy ever, and second, he was so big and strong that it could have taken something very powerful to take him down. It didn't take long before other villagers were gathering around the victim. The village police came and took over, and some of the villagers started talking. "Who could have done this?" "I bet it was his neighbor. He was always jealous of him." "Yes, but to kill him? You can't just start accusing people of murder. Besides, that would be gossiping." "Gossiping? I'm just trying to find out who did it. I'm just brainstorming." I was listening intently to all these conversations and assumptions. It worried me. If there was a murderer in the village, we wouldn't be safe anymore, and we had no clue who to blame. But this was only the beginning. In that same week, 3 more murders took place, 2 more men and 1 woman. They were gruesome, and I am glad that I only heard about them, because discovering another dead body would have been traumatic. Nobody knew and everybody was guessing. People were playing the blame game. They turned against each other and accused others constantly. The whole atmosphere changed. It wasn't pleasant. Chapter 2. The Writings on the Wall. With the dark aura that was cast over this town, people were afraid to go outside in the dark. They didn't trust it. The murderer was out there somewhere, and I couldn't blame them for not wanting to be the next victim. So yes, I stayed inside too, especially when the sun went down. But one evening I just couldn't take it. I had been inside a lot, and I noticed that Carfo was already peeing in the house. So I decided it was time to take him for a walk. At least I felt safe with him at my side. I took a knife from the kitchen and put it in my pocket, just in case anyone would try to attack me. Carfo and I walked through the alleys. There was an eerie fog in the air. It gave me the chills. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't see farther than half a block away. It was gloomy and obscure. Carfo didn't care, though. He was having a blast, finally being able to go outside and all. He peed in one corner, sniffed another, and ran towards the next street every time, making me lose sight of him. "Carfo, stay here, please! Carfo!" He was gone. I was all by myself. I hated this. I even reached for the knife in my pocket and looked around. I knew the way, but I kind of appreciated him guiding me. Where did he go? Suddenly, "Arr! Arr! Carfo?" I couldn't see anything. That annoying fog. Ugh. "Arr! Arr!" I noticed from which direction it was coming, so I took courage and moved along, looking for my big German shepherd. "Ah, there you are," I said after a few minutes. "Don't run away from me anymore. I don't want to be alone with these things happening in town. What are you barking at anyway?" I looked at the wall he was barking at. "Whoa," was all I could say. It was the craziest thing I had ever seen, and it was another clue to the puzzle. The wall was nothing but a regular wall, but on it there were names written. Some of them were carved and others were painted, but there were definitely names on there. And not just any names, the exact names of the people who were killed. "Are you thinking what I am thinking?" I asked my dog. "Arr! Arr!" That's what I thought. These were either written after the murders to keep track of who died, or, I shivered for a moment, or they were written before the murders to indicate who was going to die. "Arr!" I know. I will tell the police about it tomorrow. Let's go home. This place gives me the creeps. After that, we went home. Chapter 3. The Investigation. The next day I woke up by the sound of birds. I was anxious to find out more about the mysterious wall with the names, so I got some food, took my dog, and headed out the door. "Let's go, Carfo," I said. We ran to the other side of town where we had seen the names on the wall. When we got there, the names were still there. "Ha! You see? There is Joe and Melissa and Roland and Neri and—" I paused. I couldn't believe my eyes. "And Cedric," I said quietly. "Arr! Arr!" Carfo said. My face became pale. My heart was beating faster. A million thoughts went through my mind within seconds, but they all came down to the same thing. I am going to die. What? Why was my name on there? I wasn't dead. I had nothing to do with these victims. What was going on here? This was getting freakier by the minute. My conclusion was the following. If my name was on there, and since I am not dead, then these must be the names of people who were going to die. Was I going to die? But by whom? And how? For a few minutes, the fear overcame my very being. I was drenched in agonizing anxiety and terrible terror. But then my survival instinct kicked in. I was going to prevent this. I wasn't dead yet. And who was to say that I couldn't escape my so-called fate? I became determined, eager to solve the puzzle, and to prevent my own death. I hurried home and took some of the brushes and magnifying glasses from my cupboard. These tools could help me establish who had been writing these names on the wall. Just a side note, if this was some kind of sick joke, then it certainly wasn't funny. After grabbing the tools, I ran back to the wall. Carfo followed me there. I looked through the magnifying glass and brushed off a little dust, hoping to discover the materials being used and perhaps some other clues that would lead me to the perpetrator. But then Carfo barked again. "Ruff, ruff." "What is it, Carfo?" I looked behind me and saw a shady figure run behind another house. Hey, what was that person doing here? Was I being watched? "Let's get him, Carfo," I said, and the chase began. Chapter 4. The Cave. With my dog, I chased the shady figure around through the alleys of my hometown. It was very early in the morning, so even in this village there was nobody else up, yet. Everyone was still sleeping, which was a bummer, because this meant I had to do it all by myself. Of course, Carfo was a lot faster than I was, but for some reason this suspect was lightning fast as well. When we came to the town's border, the shady figure was way in the distance, on the other side of a large farm field. How he got there so quickly was a mystery to me. But I didn't give up, and neither did Carfo. "Let's keep going," I told my dog, "but stay with me. I don't want to lose you." I ran as fast as I could, and Carfo made sure he didn't get ahead of me too much. He was such a good dog. I love him. At the end of the field, entered a forest at the foot of a mountain. I immediately saw all the wood and the ore in the ground that we could use to build more in the village, but I wasn't sure if the villagers knew about all these materials and building blocks. Anyway, if I would return, I would tell them about it. Listen to me, saying if I would return. I wasn't really going to die, was I? No, that should be when I return. I would tell them about it. I was going to stop this from happening. After walking through the small forest, I saw a cave in the mountain. I assumed the shady figure was hiding in there, and when I would find him, I would beat the answers out of him because this was getting ridiculous. The cave was dark, but there were a few torches on the walls, which made me realize this person had been living here all this time. With Carfo, I snuck into the main space of the cave, where I saw what had been observing me near the wall. Chapter 5. Black Magic. It was a witch! Odd. I didn't know a witch lived here. The witch had a weird nose, purple clothes, and a black hat. She was dancing around a cauldron, not realizing that I had followed her all the way down here. She must have assumed I had given up, which benefited me at the time. The cave had all kinds of items in it. Torches were burning on the walls, and pickaxes, magical blocks, and pearls were lying around on the ground. This place was a mess. I covered my nose when I smelled the reeking odor that emanated from the cauldron, and looked in disgust at the rats that were nibbling on pieces of cardboard and the cockroaches I saw hiding in the corners of this putrid place. Rotting apples and a half-eaten fish were covered by mold and flies, and some kind of fluid acid had been spilled all over the place, causing the floor to be somewhat uneven by the holes it had burned here and there. It was an awful sight, this cluttered, chaotic cave. She obviously didn't know anything about housekeeping, but then again, maybe she just didn't care. Carfo was growling a little. "Shh," I whispered. "Let's just see what she does." As the witch was jumping around, she snatched a little pepper here or another bottle of vinegar there and tossed the stuff into the boiling substance in the cauldron. I didn't really care what she was making, though. I wasn't liking this for one bit. This witch either knew who would die and how, or she was the one who was planning to kill me. The thought crossed my mind that she was going to poison me with this liquid stuff. I watched as she stirred and stirred, added in other ingredients, and laughed with an evil, squeaky voice. Typical for a witch, I thought. Then Carfo barked. "Ruff, ruff." The witch turned our way.
"Oh, you were just the one I was looking for,"
she shouted. "You evil monster! You were going to kill me, weren't you?"
"I am still going to kill you, Cedric, and that stupid dog of yours, too."
"I don't understand. What did I do to you?"
"Oh, it's simple,"
the witch said.
"I've been living in this impoverished cave all my life. Nobody cared about me, and nobody gave me anything to hang in there. But I will give them something to be scared about. Perhaps now they will start caring."
"But that doesn't make any sense. What are you trying to accomplish by killing the villagers?"
"Fear,"
she said.
"If they become so afraid that they don't have the guts to leave their houses, they will eventually all leave. And when they do, I am going to live there. All their homes and buildings will be mine."
"So all you're trying to do is scaring them off so you can move in there? That just sounds dumb. And furthermore, I won't let you."
"Don't be too confident, young guy. I may be old, but I know what I am doing. Here, take this."
She ducked and grabbed a splash potion. I chuckled and said, "Pfft, you're going to give me a drink or something?" Then she threw it. It exploded. Luckily, it exploded in front of me, and I had just enough time to dive behind a rock. What was that? Some kind of Molotov cocktail or something? This witch was crazy, throwing exploding splash potions and stuff.
"Here, take another one,"
she said as she threw one more. Another explosion. She missed again. Ha! But what was I going to do? I had to stop this evil witch from killing off the villagers until they would leave. "Carfo!" I yelled. "Go get her!" Carfo didn't need much more. He knew what I meant. This witch was throwing stuff at me, and he wasn't liking it any more than I did. "Ruff, Carfo said as he stormed at the witch. He jumped at her and pinned her to the floor.
Ah, that stupid dog of yours!
I came out of my hiding spot and ran at her. I had her. I finally had her, and she wasn't going anywhere. Good boy, Carfo. So, you wicked woman, what do you say now?
You think you won?
She said.
You haven't seen anything yet. Why do you think I wrote those names on the wall? I am going to summon the beast that devoured the others, and there is no escaping it. Ha 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 ha!
Chapter 6. The Skeleton. The witch pushed the dog away and quickly jumped to some soul sand she had in the corner. She put the soul sand into a T shape and placed 3 skeleton skulls on top of the 3 blocks. The last block was a skeleton skull. Some air blocks were holding the soul sand block in place. And then it happened. It grew larger and larger. It was flashing blue. Before I knew it, a big skeleton stood before me, gnashing its teeth and kind of imploding or something. The skeleton had 3 large heads and sharp teeth. Its piercing eyes looked straight at me. "Ah!" I screamed as I ran out of the cave. Carfo followed me, and so did my enemy. I hid behind a tree, panting heavily because of my previous quick sprint. I saw Carfo, but was the skeleton still there? Had that witch just been writing random names on the wall and then summoning the skeleton to send it out to kill them? That's what it looked like, at least. Anyway, I had to focus again. It didn't matter for now, because in the meantime, this monster was still following me. I looked with my head peeking around the tree trunk. Yep, it was still there, and getting closer and closer. Then I looked at Carfo. I looked at the tree. I looked at Carfo again. I had an idea. I bent over and picked up a branch from the ground and said, "Hey, Carfo, do you want to play fetch?"
Ruff, ruff,
Carfo said. These were happy barks. I could tell because he had a big smile on his face and his tail was wagging. "Then go play fetch," I said as I threw the stick towards the skeleton. Carfo didn't wait for anything to happen. He sped at the skeleton and jumped right through the bones towards the stick, scattering the evil enemy's bones all over the ground. I ran towards them and looked at it. The bones were slowly coming together, as if the skeleton tried to regroup or something. But then I had another idea. Carfo, don't be satisfied with the stick, just get the bone." I picked up one of the skeleton's bones and threw it into the distance. Carfo happily ran after it and began to chew on it. And me? I kicked the skulls over and crushed some of the bones with my foot. Others I banged against the tree trunk to break them in half. It all seemed to work. The skeleton didn't get up anymore. The danger was over. Victory was mine! Oh, wait, but what about the witch? "Let's get her, Carfo," I said, but Carfo didn't want to let go of the bone. He was having the time of his life chewing at that thing. "Come on, dog, you can take the bone with you, no problem." Eventually, he just picked it up and followed me, especially since he noticed I was leaving without him. We ran inside and there she was, standing ready with another splash potion.
I wondered if you were smart enough to defeat my skeleton,
she said.
But now I am going to blow you up with this potion. Say goodbye.
She threw the splash potion at me, but those things only explode when they hit the ground. I guess, now that I look at it, that I owe my life to my dog. Because at that exact moment, Carfo jumped up and caught the splash potion, preventing it from hitting the ground. "Good boy," I said. "Now give it to me." But Carfo wouldn't let go. He was having too much fun. Let go, down, boy!" We pulled, and eventually I was able to rip it from his teeth. I looked at the witch and squinted my eyes. "This is for the villagers you killed," I said in a low voice. I threw the splash potion back, which flew through the air and hit the ground right in front of the evil witch.
"No!"
she screamed, but it was too late. The potion exploded in her face, causing the cave ceiling to break, after which huge boulders fell on the witch and crushed her. Big vapors of smoke evaporated from the scene, and I waved some of it away with my hand, coughing in the meantime. I looked, The witch was gone. There was no more witch. She had been buried beneath the rocks from the cave. The home she so desperately tried to leave had become her grave. I hugged my dog. It was amazing how much Carfo had helped me in this adventure. Then I took one more look and went back to the village. Chapter 7. Safe. Back at the village, an enormous crowd is waiting for me. Well, as big as a crowd from my village can get, of course. Maybe a few hundred people. Maybe less. But suffice it to say that most of the villagers had gathered at the main square and were welcoming me back. "We were worried," one of the women said. "You were gone for such a long time," a man said. "We were afraid that you were the next victim. Besides, my son said he saw your name on the wall with the other victims. What is going on here?" I smiled. I felt right at home, seeing that the other villagers cared so much about me. I looked at my dog and at the multitude. They were all staring at me, waiting for an explanation. "Well," one of them said. I started. "I don't know if you even want to know everything that happened in that forest, and in the cave." "What cave?" "Never mind." I hesitated for a moment. Should I tell them about the witch, the skeleton, and the splash potions? Perhaps that would only scare them, knowing that such things existed in or near their village. There were kids staring at me, too. One little girl even came to me and asked, "Mister, did you die?" "No, I didn't die," I said with a happy face. "I came close to dying, but all is well now." Then I came up with the following. "Listen, everyone, I will tell you these 3 things. Number 1, whatever or whoever it was that killed our fellow citizens is gone. That person will never bother us again. So please, feel free to go out at night again and stop being afraid. Number 2, I don't think you have any idea how much wood and ore there is outside your village. If some of you want to explore a little in that direction, please let me know and I will be happy to guide you there. And number 3, I raised Carfo above me, putting the faithful but heavy German Shepherd on my shoulders. "Oof. Number 3 is that Carfo saved my life and the village. If anyone deserves to be honored, it is him." All the villagers looked astonished. Some of them were trying to understand what I was referring to, but others just cheered. "Hooray for Carfo! Hooray for Cedric and Carfo!" What followed afterwards was a giant feast to which the entire village was invited. People were happy. They felt safe again. They were reassured that nobody would die anymore. The joyful atmosphere of peace had been returned. And Carfo? He received a whole bowl full of bones and meat for himself. He deserved it. The end.